You're listening to the Rise Above podcast, the only podcast on the planet with a mission to help you live a free and uncommon life. Here's your host, Greg Smith.
Yes. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. This is the Rise Above podcast, and you are listening to episode number 20. I'm your host, Greg Smith, and I believe if you desire uncommon freedom in business and in life, it starts with creating a champion's mindset from within. Well, today's episode is going to be all about energy and happiness. Energy and happiness. Lately I have been watching a lot of YouTube videos and just reading a lot about happiness and energy. And today may sound a little foo-foo when it comes to energy and spiritualityness, but at the end of the day, what people coin as the pursuit of happiness, I think, is a very important topic because there are many people in the world that are just not truly happy. And I think maybe if you ask yourself if you are happy, a lot of times, if you're like me, you can have a tendency to answer no at first, when in reality, the answer might actually be yes. And so I just want to kind of share some things that have been going on in my head, and hopefully it'll allow you to have just a different perspective on happiness and joyfulness. My theme for this year, for 2019, and I almost hate to have like the word of the year kind of thing, but I think having a theme for certain parts of your life can be a very important thing. And so I have a theme right now, and the theme is just joy. Joy. To be joyful. And to be joyful, I think, includes the word being happy, right? And being joyful in all that I do. Joyful in all that I do. And so I was watching this video, and essentially this video on YouTube was talking about how we as humans are really just energy, right? Like at the base of the root of like what we are made of, is this particle, these atoms that are just energy vibrating at certain frequencies that make up our physical body. But, in the physics of things, we're technically not physical. It's a really weird concept to grasp, but, the fact is all matter is made of the same thing, which is really an interesting concept. I won't get into too much philosophy there, but to think that, at the lowest common denominator of what I am made of and what this desk or microphone is made of is the same thing is really perplexing. I mean, like absolutely perplexing. But nevertheless, the key to understand, as I shared today, is to really understand that we are energy and we do vibrate at a certain frequency. Our moods vibrate at a certain frequency. And so, I am a big proponent of mindset. If you've listened to any of my podcasts for any amount of time, I talk about mindset and psychology. And I've always talked about, and I learned this a long time back, it may have been from probably Jim Rohn, but we talk about de-weeding the garden, right? So inside of your brain, there are weeds, bad thoughts, negative thoughts, just ways of thinking that ultimately need to be plucked out of the garden, right? Out of your mindset. And the funny thing about weeds, I have some, actually right now, man, I have these thistles, these stinking thistles in my flower bed. And I swear to you, if you know how to get rid of these, please, for the love of God, send me an email, Greg at riseabovepodcast.com. I've had so many guys out here in my flower beds trying to get rid of these thistles. And it is unbelievable. I can literally spend an entire day digging these things out by the root, yes, all the way down. I dig them out, I pull them out, and nevertheless, they come back over and over and over again. And so it's this constant battle in between my landscape. By the way, what is landscaping? I mean, dear God, you want to talk about keeping up with the Joneses. I am a simple man. I like to think that I'm a simple man. And I look at all of the money that I invest in landscaping and lawn care just to make sure my yard looks good and that I don't have dandelions, roaming around and things like that. Like, it is quite a job. It is quite the investment, frankly. to me, it's simply aesthetics. Maybe I should move. It's kind of a dichotomy. Like, I love where I live, but if I could have it all, I would live in the middle of the country where I don't have to care about my mulch, which, costs $900 to $1,000 a year to have somebody else do. I have somebody else do all that stuff. And then you're mowing. Like, I would move out into the middle of the country where it'd be like this. It doesn't exist. This is why I don't live there. But where like jiu-jitsu is really close, my church is close, my kids' school is really close, like family's close, skiing is close, like all of the recreational things are really close, but you still like kind of live out in the middle of nowhere to where you're not trying to play like, oh, I need my yard to look nice. So anyways, back to the weed story. I deal with this literally every year. We just had mulch guys come in this last week, and we're de-weeding. We're taking all these thistles out, and I can almost guarantee you when July hits, when it's really dry out, these thistles will be back, almost guaranteed. And so it's this never-ending cycle of de-weeding my flower beds. And the same thing goes for your mind. I talk about this a lot, and it's just been taught to me, is that you have to pluck the weeds, the negative thoughts. You can take the negative thoughts out of your mind. However, they have a tendency to always come back. They have a tendency to always come back. And through conditioning over years, you can start to minimize them and minimize them and minimize them. But I don't think they ever go away completely. I don't think that you're ever immune to not having negative thoughts, right? The weeds come back into your mind. I think it's a constant battle of de-weeding. And the interesting thing is, if you think about my mulch bed as an example, think about my mulch bed. So I have lilies planted in there. We have tulips planted in there. And we have some little bush things planted in there. And water comes down from the sky. I don't water my flower beds. So water comes down from the sky. It rains. And water will ultimately feed that ground with energy. Water is energy. And does the water differentiate in between the weeds and my flowers, or do they both grow? They both grow. So water literally comes down and it goes into my flower beds, my mulch beds, and it allows weeds and flowers to grow. Energy is kind of the same way. Energy doesn't care what it's going into. It can make anything grow, whether positive or negative. Okay? And so energy will grow whatever it is geared toward. And so if we gear our energy towards positive thoughts, those will grow. If we gear it towards negative thoughts, those will grow. Okay? So as we talk about de-weeding your garden, as we talk about taking away negative thoughts in your mind and thinking more positive, right? That's cool. And we can do that. But it's not just, you can't just go to a rah-rah hype motivation weekend seminar and clear and be positive thinking. And then all of a sudden, you're just going to be amazing for the rest of your life. It does not work like that. It is a diligent plucking of the weeds over and over and over and over again. And I'll tell you what, these thistles, they are much easier when I'm out playing with the kids. Always out playing with the kids. And literally we have the tools that just sit out there. We will literally just be, oh, there's one coming up, boom, pluck it. Oh, there's one coming up, boom, pluck it. But there have been times at this house, we've lived here for 6 years. There have been times where I let it go and it literally sprawls and just takes over my entire mulch bed. And before you know it, it looks like a thistle garden. And it is the most embarrassing thing, which is weird. As I said before, like, why should I be embarrassed that a weed's growing in my mulch bed? Like, come on. That means my focus is elsewhere. But anyways, nevertheless, got to keep up with the Joneses a little bit here. And so what I've found is it's easier to pluck those things and put energy, little bits of energy every now and then, right, to pull them out. But that all starts with a clean wipeout, right? Like you have to like completely kill them. There is no you can't just go in one at a time and pull them out. Like, you got to make the change. And so the purpose of this is talk about we say, de-weed your garden, de-weed your garden, like get the negative thoughts out. Well, that's fine, but how do we replace those? What do we do with our energy? And our energy has to turn directions and consistently be put into positive things. And so how do we manage energy? How do I manage energy? Well, for one, you have to stop hemorrhaging energy. Okay. Number two is you have to conserve the energy. Now, conserving energy, now this is interesting because far often we're so busy being busy and we have so many things going on that energy is always being expended out of us and it can never actually be accrued and conserved. So doing certain activities, mindfulness, meditation, things for me that bring me energy, and this is where literally, and I have something I'm going to share with you at the end of this episode that can help you, but I have certain ways of knowing how to conserve energy, what is expending it and what's giving it to me. And you have to get very in tune with that as a person. What gives you energy and what, see, introvert and extrovert, by the way, is not defined as what you may think is defined. Oh, he's an extrovert because he's eccentric around people. No, the true definition is, do you get energy from being with people or do you get energy from being alone? That's the difference in between an extrovert and introvert. Now, see, I have introvert tendencies, but I can be extroverted and appear to be extroverted when I'm around people. That doesn't mean I'm an extrovert. I actually tend more towards an I, which would be the introvert, to where I get more energy hunting, walking in nature, things like that. Driving my truck, actually, just driving, like gives me energy and thought. So anyways, back to the point. Stop hemorrhaging, then you must conserve it. As you conserve, you accumulate it, okay? And you accumulate that energy. Now, here's the key. Then you must invest it into what you want to grow. You have to invest it into what you want to grow, but first you must have it. That's the thing. Is you have to learn how to have it to where you can direct it to where you want to go. So as we clean out the garden, we de-weed and pull the thistles out. Okay, that's step one. Then we have to consistently stay on top of that. That focus, that has to be focused, pulling those out, right? Negative thought comes in, wipe it out. But then we have to learn what gives us energy and what doesn't. Start conserving that energy, accumulate it, and then invest it into more positive things or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. Now, the pursuit of happiness, joyful, is what a lot of people are trying to achieve, is I want to be happy. I wish I was happier. Well, being happy is simply a state of energetic mindfulness. You can choose to be happy today. Don't choose to pursue happiness. Choose to pursue a lifestyle that makes you happy. Let me repeat it. Don't pursue happiness. Pursue a lifestyle that can provide it for you. See, for me today, as an example, I have a friend who's coming in from out of town. He lives 3 hours away. And happiness, a piece of my happiness today, one was taking my son to school. That gives me happiness. It brings joy to me. Something else that will provide happiness to me is driving my car over to pick him up because he's coming in town. His wife and daughter are doing something. I'm going to pick him up in my car. I'm going to give him an experience. We're going to drive over. We're going to get some lunch. I'm going to show him a couple things around town here, and I'm going to drop him back off. My lifestyle is what's providing that happiness, okay? So pursuing a lifestyle, pursuing the way of living that gives you happiness. Don't pursue happiness as an end goal. I know it's really weird, but there's a fine line there. And so here's what I want to do for you today. This is what I want to do for you. And I'm going to create this right now. Like I've had this in, and I want to create this because I've talked to so many people when I'm doing my coaching sessions and I'm mentoring people. I've talked to so many people. I think this is very important, is understanding how to be in a mindfulness of being happy and joyful with where you currently are. At the same time, it's okay to have goals and want to increase your lifestyle or whatever it is that you're looking to do, become better or more. You can do that, but you can be happy with where you currently are. Now, the thing is, it's not as easy as me just this 15 minutes telling you, hey, choose to be happy. It's not that easy. It's a little bit of a journey. I can tell you it's a state of mind and you can choose to be happy. But even then, it's learning how to do that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a free video training for you, okay? I've never done this before. I mean, I do these trainings all the time, but I've never done this publicly. So I'm going to do this publicly for the first time. And so I'm going to create a training, and you can find it at riseabovepodcast.com/happy. riseabovepodcast.com/happy. Okay? riseabovepodcast.com/happy. You can see that in the show notes as well. They'll link over to there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a video. And one of the main things is I'm going to show you is my secret 2-step plan to being more happy almost instantly. And I'll dive a little deeper into some other things in there because, as I talk about the energy management, conserving it and accumulating it, you must understand not just the 2 steps that I'm going to give you, which are profound. It's interesting. I'll share with you how I came about these 2 steps to do this. But not only that, but you have to know where to pull the energy from. And I think that's very important in this day and age because it's so easy to get pulled in so many different directions and have thoughts over here and thoughts over here. I think it's so key to learn how to think differently and how to conserve so you can accumulate and then you can invest that energy into more positive things for your life. And so I'm going to create that video training for this episode is aired. And so if you go there right now, riseabovepodcast.com/happy, I'll have that training for you. It's absolutely free. So make sure you go over there and check that out. But that is my episode for today. I hope that you found value in that. And of course, as always, if you did, if you can give me a rating, if you just go right now, if you're on your podcast player, boom, open it up. Give me, you don't have to give me 5 stars. I love 5 stars. I only got 1 4-star, so you can join that person if you want to. Or you can give me 1 star if you thought this sucked. Truthfully, I'm always open to good criticism. If you have a point to make, please give it. But if you really enjoyed the show, give me 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever it is. Leave a review. I read every single review on there. Okay. Actually, right now, I'm going to pull up a review. I should have done this at the beginning because I really love this. Like, I pull these up and let me go here. Cool. All right. So this podcast is something that this Crawford Fit Tribe left this. Rock solid truth. This podcast is something that every entrepreneur should listen to and share with others. I have found tremendous value in each and every podcast. The lessons I am learning are helping me to excel to the next level in my business. Thank you for sharing your great wisdom, Greg. Thank you, Crawford Fit Tribe. So I literally read these all the time. I screenshot them. It's very uplifting to know. It's also, it goes into my legacy file for my kids so they can learn what it means to make a difference in the world. And so, again, if you enjoyed, I appreciate it. And if you haven't already, go over to riseabovepodcast.com/happy. I get that free training out to you. Take care. God bless.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.